Welcome to S4 HANA FI Accounts Payable training. So the course objectives, we'll understand vendor master, creating a vendor master and changing vendor master. We'll understand the various transactions in SAP, accounts payable, vendor invoice, vendor credit memo, down payment, outgoing payment, partial, residual and full sharing, automatic payments, payment run overview, running the payment program and payment medium workbench, and the reports which are available in accounts payable. So we will start with the vendor master. Master data. So basically, a vendor master data has three sections. One is the general data section, which is nothing but the name, address, the control data, and all the payment transactions. So all of this is stored at the client level. If you see, this is the client level. All of this address, control, payment transaction is stored at the general data level. And once this is done, it can be extended to n number of companies. It can be extended to one company code, or it can be extended to multiple company codes. So let's say we are extending it to a company code called the 6600 universal. So once we extend it, what we need to do is we need to update the account management data. That is nothing but the GL account, the recon account, where it will get posted to which, whether it's a domestic supplier, import supplier, and all that. So we're different. So the recon account has to be updated, and accordingly, it will post it to that GL. Payment transactions. Payment transaction in the sense whether it's a 30 days payment term, 60 days payment terms, and so on and so forth. And correspondence data. Correspondence data in the sense whenever we want vendor confirmations, vendor account, whenever we want to request vendor confirmation from vendor, whenever we want to request any balance confirmation, account statement, whenever we want to send account statement and all that, we have to update the correspondence data in the company code data section. Similarly, we have the purchasing organization section. So if you want to do a purchase where the vendor, we want to purchase from the vendor using a purchase order route, the purchase requisition route, in that case, we need to extend that vendor to a purchasing organization. So purchasing organization, in this case, example is 6600. So we'll create a purchasing view, and we'll update purchasing data and partner functions. So that is basically the master data structure. So in S4 HANA, the new concept is master, vendor master, or for that matter, customer master. It's called a business partner. So in the general data section, we have to first select the business partner category, whether it's a person, whether it's an organization, whether it's a group. Okay, so we either select either of these three. Let's say we select organization. Then we need to select the role. What is the role? Whether it's a FI customer, general business partner, FI vendor. Okay, so in this case, we will select the role where you want to extend it, and the business partner grouping, whether it's an internal number assignment or an external number assignment. So business partner grouping. So we just now talked about it. General data, we have name, address, bank details. Business partner role. A business partner can have several roles: FI vendor, FI customer, customer SD. So FI vendor used to source company code specific data. Business partner category used to classify as a natural person, group, or organization, determine which fields are available for data entry. Business partner grouping, we talked about it. It determines whether it's an external or internal. Grouping and the number ranges are defined in customizing. So here we have a business partner. The business partner has the general data section with the person selected and the FI vendor selected, and the internal number assignment selected. We have selected a business partner grouping as internal number assignment. So this now can be extended to multiple company codes, company code 1010, 1710, 5050, and so on and so forth. So that the accounting group will be updated for these company codes. Now, when we see the business partner general data section, we will see that we update the now, for example, we have selected the name, we have updated the name, the search term, how do you want to search it, the street, house number, PIN code, city, country, region. Okay, so this is what we'll update here. In the identification part, we will update the tax and the VAT numbers. In the control data section, we will update if it's a trading partner, relevant for trading partner and all that. Payment transactions, we will update the bank details. So this is the payment transaction. Bank details are captured here. Then we go on to select the company code section. The company code section has the role, the business partner role is FLVN00. FLVN0 is the standard supplier financial accounting rule, which means we can create and extend the vendor to a company code. So in this case, the supplier is 17300, the code is there, the recon account is there. We updated the recon account, nothing but the GL account, where it is going to get updated. And the payment transaction. Here we update the terms of payment. What is the terms of payment? Payment method, whether it's going to be a bank transfer, whether it's going to be an RTGS, whether it's going to be NFT or whatever, or ACH or whatever. So we are going to update here. So in vendor correspondence, we'll update what type of current correspondence we want to send to the vendor, monthly, whether it's weekly or whatever, or yearly. That also is an option. If a vendor is subjected to withholding tax, then we update the withholding tax code here in this particular in the master. We see the purchasing section. So now the vendor is extended to a purchasing section. Purchasing section, the VP role is FLVN01, SAP standard supplier. And we will update the ordering currency. We'll update the payment terms and minimum order value and partner function and so on and so forth. So fields of the vendor account are search terms. You can enter an abbreviation for the customer or vendor in this field. The format is defined by company guidelines and practices. Corporate group. Customer or vendor who belong to one corporate group can be grouped together by user-defined group key. This group key can be used for running reports, transaction processing, or for match codes. Accounting clerk. The name of the accounting clerk must be saved under an ID. Can enter this code in the customer or vendor master record for which the clerk concerned is responsible. The name of clerk is then printed on correspondent automatically. You can also use this ID for sorting dunning and payment proposal list. Here is the account group. So whenever a vendor master is created or a business partner is created, we have to select the grouping, and then groupings are linked to the account groups. So we have the various account groups. For example, it is one-time vendor, it's an affiliate vendor, it's a general vendor. Okay, so these are all the service vendors and all. These are the account type of grouping of account vendors. For example, let's say local vendor, foreign vendors, and it's linked to the grouping. And the account grouping basically has a separate number range. So each account group has a separate number range. It is possible to divide it into smaller number range. Number range must not overlap. Also, it helps you to control what are the fields required, optional at the account group level. So in the number range, we can define whether the number range is internal or external. If it's an external, then the user has to assign the number range. If it's internal, then the system will automatically assign the number range. So each number range can be assigned to one or more group. Okay, so a single number range can be assigned to one or more account groups, or you can have a different number range for each of the account groups. What is the difference between normal account or one-time vendor account? Now, one-time vendor is a business vendor where we generally do only occasionally or maybe once in a lifetime. So those are the vendors where we create that as a one-time vendor. So in the one-time vendor, we generally don't store any data. It's a dummy data. We just store some dummy data in that. Name and address is not relevant. At the time of entry, at the time of data entry, system expects user to enter a name, address, bank details, phone number, whatever in that, and that will be stored at transaction level. Whereas normal accounts are where we normally deal with the vendor continuously. We have a lot of transactions with the normal vendor. In that case, we update the name, the address, the VAT account number, and all that, and they are in the permanent nature. So controlling the field status. So layout of the customer vendor master data screens can be affected by the accounts group specific controls. So account group controls what are the fields which are required and optional, and will have the same screen layout. transaction specific control. So in the configuration, we have something called as create, change, or display. What is in the change mode, something will be only display, it will not be changeable. Display what is to be displayed and all that. So these are all the sets based on transaction specific. We can have various options of display, suppress, and all that. Company code specific control. You can have the control field status or field in the company code segment via the company code specific screen layout. So you can check this in the configuration document. Let's mention all of this. Dual control principle. So dual control principle is that you can define that one person makes changes for customer or vendor master data while another person is responsible for confirming the change. Usually for critical customer vendor changes. So you have this dual control in customer vendor. If you define a field in the vendor master record as sensitive, the corresponding vendor is blocked for payment if the entry is changed. The block is removed when a second person with the authorization checks the change and confirm or reject it. You can display the vendor master record for all accounts using report RFB-ABL00 or RFK-LB00. Generally, most of the companies now have a centralized master data, so all of these is not really required because there's a separate master data team who is empowered or who is authorized to do the changes. Dual control principle generally is not really used. Customer vendor clearing. So if a customer is also a vendor or vice versa, the payment and billing program can clear open items against each other. So what do we need to do to clear open items from customer and vendor? You have to enter the vendor account number in the customer account or vice versa. Each company code decides separately whether it wants to clear open item between customer and vendor. If clearing is to be used, you have to select the field clearing with vendor in the customer account or the corresponding field in the vendor account. So that is possible. Alternate payee or payee. You can have, there are two possible settings at the client level and at the company code level. You can enter an alternative payer payee. The entry in the company code segment has highest priority than the entry at client level. So if you enter an alternate payer, the amount to clear the due open items in the account is paid by the alternate payer. If you enter an alternate pay, the amount that company has to pay to clear the open item due is paid to the alternate pay. Head office branch concept, in similar to that, we can have the head office updated, where example the branch and head office want to receive the payment. So there is a difference between good flow and cash flow. We can reflect this in SAP system via head office and branch account. All items posted to a branch account are automatically transferred to the head office account. So the configuration for creation of vendor refers section 2 of the document as for HANA configuration of accounts receivable and accounts payable.